Ah, the Chocobo. There's just something that is calming about the Chocobo if you're a Final Fantasy fan. You see, more likely than not, you go, "Oh, look at the Chocobo, it's so cute!" when you see one. Square Enix realizes too, considering there's a whole series of games specifically for Chocobos. The Chocobo's Dungeon series has been around for a long time. Since 1997 in Japan, and since 1999 when the West received Chocobo's Dungeon 2 on the PS1. Whatever happened to Chocobo's Dungeon 1 is beyond me. Yeah, they're not the most popular games in the franchise, but they still hold a place in hearts of fans. Personally, I jumped into the series with Final Fantasy Fables Chocobo's Dungeon on the Wii, which, it was a short game, but it reminded me a lot of the Pokemon Mystery Dungeon games, which were pretty popular at that time as well. Which brings me to my review of Chocobo's Dungeon Everybody. First off, I got some beef with the marketing for this game, because honestly, I thought this was just a brand new Chocobo's Dungeon game, and then come to my surprise when I started playing it, it's essentially Final Fantasy Fables Chocobo's Dungeon from the Wii, remastered on the Switch and the PS4. But it is an enhanced port, I'll give them that. There is added content, which is good. It's not too much content, but it is enough to make this the definitive way to play Chocobo's Dungeon that was originally on the Wii. First off, obviously the game looks and runs way better than before, but that's not the only real improvement. The UI is a lot cleaner this time around as well. Not that the Wii versions was terrible, it was honestly pretty good for the time, but everything just looks so much cleaner and easier to understand in this version of the game. The story is very strange, and honestly it's just kind of okay to me. You and your pal Sid, another staple for the Final Fantasy franchise, are exploring a temple when you and your rivals end up going through a wormhole and end up in the Land of Lost Time. In the Land of Lost Time, you discover that whenever the church bell rings, people forget things, and you get an item which allows you to go through the memories of people, help them remember what they've forgotten, and it's up to you to figure out what's going on in Lost Time and put an end to it. Eventually, a mysterious egg appears and out comes a baby? It doesn't make much sense to me either. But his name is Raffaello, and he has a big role in the plot, so I'm gonna leave the story at that, just in case you wanted to play the game yourself. Now, in terms of gameplay, if you've played any game with randomly generated dungeons before, you will feel right at home with this one. If you love Final Fantasy, you'll probably love this game even more. One very interesting aspect is that Chocobo can become a whole bunch of different classes, which are essentially staples from the rest of the series, such as the White Mage, the Black Mage, the Thief, the Knight, etc. And it's a lot of fun being able to experiment with which ones work best for your situation, because some dungeons have limitations, like by being in a long hallway with no other way to turn, no potions, no SP, and it definitely adds some variety to the gameplay. One thing about the game that gives it a roguelike element is there is no true game over. However, if you die in a dungeon, you lose all your items. That includes your equipment, all your gil that you've acquired through the dungeon, and anything you brought in before you went into the dungeon. It's very tragic whenever you lose good equipment that you've refined, or a really rare potion, like a haste potion or something. But you can exit any floor as long as you can reach the stairs, so it definitely gives you that feeling of, should I continue, or should I go back, heal up, and go right back into the dungeon and get a little more XP. Another new addition to this version of the game are the buddies. You can recruit people and monsters to join you in the dungeons, and you can upgrade these with buddy points, which you get for defeating certain types of enemies. So if you wanted a better turtle like Adamantis, you have to keep fighting turtles throughout the game, and eventually you unlock them all. This is very nice considering A, it's a little extra damage, and B, each character has their own special skills. So you can mix and match those too, depending on your situation as well, which is awesome. And considering I played this game on hard mode, I had a buddy pretty much the entire time I could. Game starts out easy enough to get you going and get used to the gameplay, but then when you fight that real first boss, the Phoenix, that's when I felt the need to do a bit more grinding and leveling up. Not that I did too much, but it was a decent amount to sort of lengthen the game for me. There is also some DLC dungeons and buddies, but I haven't messed with them too much as of yet, but I'll take it. The music is also amazing. It is a bunch of remixes from the other games in the series, most notably a boss fight theme from Final Fantasy VIII. Considering I've been playing that a lot lately, wink wink, I recognized the tune right away. Overall, I highly recommend this game to any fan of the Mystery Dungeon games or the Final Fantasy franchise as a whole. It is another love letter to the fans of the series, just like World of Final Fantasy was, so if you're a fan, you owe it to yourself to play the game. Even if you aren't a fan of that style of game, it is very beginner friendly on the normal mode, and not too difficult. My one big complaint about the game as a whole is that there is no physical copy. It is download only, which as a collector it bugs me, but at least it didn't retail at $60. The gameplay is fun and rewarding, the music is spectacular, the story is interesting enough to keep you motivated, and all of the references to other games in the series make me so happy for some reason. If I had to give it a rating, I would give it an 8 out of 10. It's not a game for everyone, but if you are a fan of Final Fantasy or the Mystery Dungeon games, do not pass this one up. Anyways, this has been PinstripeParagon. I hope you guys enjoyed. Be sure to like, comment, subscribe, and hit that notification bell so you don't miss an upload. And later days.